Salman al-Farsi, the seeker of truth. From the heart of Persia, our hero emerges. He chose to abandon his father's immense wealth and cast himself into the embrace of poverty, all in a relentless pursuit of intellectual liberation and spiritual purity. I was a man from Isfahan, from a village called Jay. My father was the chieftain of his land, and I was his most beloved child. I was so devoted to Magianism that I became the guardian of the sacred fire, ensuring it never extinguished for a single moment. One day, my father sent me to tend to one of his estates. On my way, I passed by a Christian church. I heard them praying and went inside to observe. I was deeply moved by their prayers and thought to myself, this is better than the religion we follow. I stayed with them until sunset, neglecting my father's estate, until he eventually sent people to find me. When I asked about the origins of their faith, they told me it was in the Levant. Upon returning, I told my father, I saw people praying in a way that is better than our religion. We argued, and out of fear for my faith, he shackled my feet and imprisoned me. However, I managed to send word to the Christians, telling them I had embraced their faith and asking them to notify me when any caravan arrived from the Levant. When one did, I broke my chains and escaped with them. In the Levant, I sought out their greatest scholar and was directed to the bishop of the church. I told him my story and stayed to serve, pray, and learn. However, I soon discovered he was a corrupt man. He would collect charities from the people to distribute to the poor, but instead, he hoarded the gold and silver for himself. When he died, they appointed another man in his place. I have never seen a man among them better than him, nor anyone more longing for the hereafter, more ascetic in this world, or more devoted to worship. I loved him more than anyone I had ever known. When his death approached, I asked him, "O teacher, the decree of God has come as you see. Whom do you recommend I go to? To whom do you entrust me?" He replied, "My son, I do not know of anyone who follows the same truth I follow, except for a man in Mosul." I went to the man in Mosul and told him my story. I stayed with him as long as God willed, until death approached him. I asked for his guidance, and he told me to seek a man in Amorium, in the land of the Romans. I traveled there, stayed with him, and worked until I owned some cows and sheep. When death approached him as well, he gave me his final testament. "My son, I do not know of anyone left who follows our path. However, the time has come for a prophet to emerge in the land of the Arabs. He will be sent with the religion of Abraham. He will migrate to a land of black volcanic rocks and palm trees. He has clear signs. He does not eat from charity, sadaqah, but accepts gifts. And between his shoulders is the seal of prophethood." Later, a caravan from the Arabian Peninsula passed by. I offered them my cows and sheep in exchange for taking me with them. They agreed, but when we reached Wadi al-Qura, they betrayed me and sold me as a slave to a Jewish man. While I was with him, a man from the tribe of Banu Qurayza bought me and took me to Medina. The moment I saw the date palms, I recognized it from the description I was given. I worked in the palm groves until God sent his messenger. One day, while I was atop a palm tree, I heard a man talking about a prophet who had arrived in Kuba. I immediately went to him. First, I offered him some food, saying it was charity. He told his companions to eat, but did not eat any himself. I said to myself, that is the first sign. Later, I went to him again and offered him food as a gift. He ate from it and invited his companions to join him. I said, that is the second sign. Finally, I followed him at a funeral trying to see his back. He realized what I was looking for and lowered his garment, revealing the seal of prophethood between his shoulders. I fell upon him, kissing him and weeping. I embraced Islam and told him my long journey. I was unable to participate in the battles of Badr and Uhud because of my status as a slave. Eventually, the Prophet told me to negotiate a contract of manumission with my master to gain my freedom. The Sahaba helped me meet the requirements, and thus God set me free. From then on, I was a free Muslim, participating in the Battle of the Trench, al-Khandaq, and all subsequent battles. The Battle of the Trench, the strategy of Salman. In the 5th year of the Hijra, a group of Jewish leaders went to Mecca to incite the polytheists and various tribes against the Prophet and the Muslims. They conspired to launch a massive, coordinated attack on Medina from all sides. The plan was for the Quraysh and Ghatafan armies to strike from the outside, while the tribe of Banu Qurayza would attack from within, threatening the complete annihilation of the Muslims. The Muslims were stunned by the scale of the approaching force, which consisted of 24,000 warriors led by Abu Sufyan and Uyayna ibn Hisn. This overwhelming numbers threw the Muslim community into a state of immense pressure and alarm. In this critical hour, the Messenger of Allah gathered his companions for a shura to discuss how to repel the invasion. Salman al-Farsi, drawing upon his deep knowledge of Persian warfare and military tactics, stepped forward with a revolutionary proposal: digging a trench, khandak, around the vulnerable parts of Medina. This was a defensive tactic entirely foreign to the Arabs in their traditional warfare. The Muslims worked tirelessly to dig the trench. When the Quraysh army arrived and saw the fortification, they were paralyzed with astonishment. The Confederates remained in a state of siege for an entire month, unable to breach the city's defenses. Finally, God sent a violent wind that uprooted their tents and scattered their ranks. Disheartened and broken, the armies withdrew, losing all hope of ever defeating the Muslims in open combat. While digging the trench, Salman al-Farsi worked alongside the Sahaba, and the Prophet himself participated in the labor. At Salman's station, a massive, impenetrable rock obstructed their path. Despite Salman's renowned strength and his powerful strikes that usually shattered stones, he was unable to break this one. He went to the Messenger of Allah to ask permission to divert the trench's path to avoid the rock. The Prophet came to inspect the rock. He called for a pickaxe and asked the companions to step back to avoid the flying shards. Raising the tool, the Prophet struck the rock with a mighty blow. A spark of brilliant light surged from the impact, illuminating the corners of Medina. The Messenger of Allah shouted, "Allahu Akbar, I have been given the keys to Persia. By Allah, the white palaces of Al-Hira and the cities of Kisra have been lit up for me, and my ummah shall prevail over them." He struck the rock a second time. Shards flew and light radiated once more. The Prophet said, "Allahu Akbar, I have been given the keys to Rome. Its red palaces have been lit up for me, and my ummah shall prevail over them." Finally, the Prophet delivered a third strike. The rock crumbled completely into dust, emitting a final, intense light. The Prophet cheered, and the companions echoed his cry, declaring, "This is what Allah and His Messenger promised us, and Allah and His Messenger told the truth." Salman al-Farsi was not only the visionary behind the trench, he was also the witness to the unfolding of divine secrets when the Messenger of Allah struck the rock. Those flashes of light were a grand prophecy for the future of the Muslims. Years later, those promises became a reality. Salman himself lived to see the Islamic conquests sweep through the lands of Persia and Rome, witnessing the light of Islam illuminating the entire world. Salman al-Farsi, who recounted his epic odyssey in search of the truth, was a man of towering stature, unbreakable will, and a relentless mujahid for the sake of the truth. He traversed different faiths and crossed vast lands until he finally reached Islam. He was characterized by spiritual excellence and immense sacrifice, rising to become one of the most prominent companions in the era of the Messenger of Allah.